ನಾಥಾಯ ರುಕ್ಮಿಣೀಶಾಯ ನಮೋ ವೇದಾಂತ ವೇದಿನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸುಗಳಿಗೆ, ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರಿಗೆ ಪುನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಬಯಸ್ತಾ, ಮುಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಈ ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಕಿರಣದ ಮೊದಲ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್. ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೌದ್ಧರ ಮತ್ತು ದ್ವೈತ ವೇದಾಂತದ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅವರ ಗ್ರಂಥದ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿಯೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ. ಆರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲ ಪೇಪರೇ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸುಗಳು, ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರು ಸಭೆಗೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾರು ಹೊರಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಮೊದಲ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವರು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ತಿಳಿಸಿರುವಂತೆ ನಾಡಿನ ಖ್ಯಾತ ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರು, ಸಂಶೋಧಕರು ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಎ.ವಿ. ನಾಗಸಂಪಿಗೆಯವರು. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನಿಂದ ರಚಿಸಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಂತಹ ಸುಹೃಲ್ಲೇಖದ ಗ್ರಂಥದ ಆಧಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೌದ್ಧರ ಮತಗಳ ಚಿಂತನೆಯನ್ನು, ವಿಮರ್ಶೆಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತಾ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಬಂದು ತಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಬಂಧ ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ.
ಕೃಷ್ಣಾಯ ವಾಸುದೇವಾಯ ಹರಯೇ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನೇ ಪ್ರಣತಕ್ಲೇಶನಾಶಾಯ ಗೋವಿಂದಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಮಃ. ಅಪ್ರಮಂ ಭಂಗರಹಿತಂ ಅಜಡಂ ವಿಮಲಂ ಸದಾ ಆನಂದತೀರ್ಥಮತುಲಂ ಭಜೆ ತಾಪತ್ರಯಾಪಹಂ. ತಪಸ್ವಾಧ್ಯಾಯ ಶುಶ್ರೂಷಾ ಕೃಷ್ಣಪೂಜಾರತಂ ಮುನಿಂ ವಿಶ್ವೇಶಮಿಷ್ಟದಂ ವಂದೇ ಪರಿವ್ರಾಟ್ ಚಕ್ರವರ್ತಿನಂ. ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಮೊದಲ 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಅನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಬಂಧವನ್ನು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಜಗದ್ಗುರು ಮಧ್ವಾಚಾರ್ಯರು ಒಂದು ಮಹತ್ವಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಶಿವಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೇಪಿ ತದ್ಗ್ರಾಹ್ಯಂ ಭಗವಚ್ಛಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಯೋಗಿಯತ್ ಅಂತ. ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಹೀಗಿದೆ: ನಾವು ವೈಷ್ಣವರು, ವಿಷ್ಣು ಪಾರಮ್ಯವನ್ನ ನಂಬಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥವರು. ಈ ತತ್ವ ಶಿವ ಪಾರಮ್ಯವನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪುರಾಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಆಗಮಗಳಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಸುಹೊಕ್ಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಶಿವ ಪಾರಮ್ಯವನ್ನು ಹೇಳುವ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬದಿಗಿರಿಸಬೇಕಾದ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಮಡಿವಂತಿಕೆ ಬೇಡ. ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಗುಣಗಳನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿ ವಿಷ್ಣು ಪಾರಮ್ಯದ ತತ್ವವನ್ನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮನನ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಾದರೆ ಬೌದ್ಧ, ಜೈನ ಮೊದಲಾದ ಅವೇದಿಕ ದರ್ಶನಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಸಮಾನಾಂಶಗಳು ಯಾವುದಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಭೇದಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಸೌಹಾರ್ದಗಳಿಂದ ಬಾಳತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಒಂದು ವೇದಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವ ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಂದ, ಈ ವಾಕ್ಯದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ದರ್ಶನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪರದರ್ಶನವನ್ನು ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪದ್ಧತಿ ಇದೆ. ಆದಿಶಂಕರಾಚಾರ್ಯರು ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನವನ್ನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಸೂತ್ರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಬುದ್ಧನನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಾರಕ ಎಂಬುದಾಗಿ ತುಂಬ ಕಟುವಾಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಕಟುವಾಗಿ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಬಾರದು. ಅದರ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು. ದಾರ್ಶನಿಕರು ತಮ್ಮ ತಮ್ಮ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚತೆಯನ್ನು ಸಮರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಕಟುನುಡಿಗಳನ್ನು ಆಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ತಾತ್ಪರ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ. ತಮ್ಮ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದು ತರ್ಕಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿದೆ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಯ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮೊದಲು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ದರ್ಶನ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳನ್ನು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಕಟೂಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಮರೆತು ಹೋಗ್ತವೆ. ಕಟೂಕ್ತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ತಾತ್ಪರ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವರವರ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸುವುದು ಅವರ ಗುರಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ದರ್ಶನಗಳ ಅಧ್ಯಯನವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾನಿವತ್ತು ಪ್ರವಚನ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೃತಿ ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನನ ಕೃತಿ. ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ ಬುದ್ಧನ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಬುದ್ಧನ ನಿರ್ವಾಣದ ನಂತರ 4 ಶತಮಾನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಂತರ ಹುಟ್ಟಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ. ಅಮೂಲ್ಯವಾದ 5 ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳನ್ನು ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಇವನು. ಇವನ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಿಕ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧವಾದ, ದೇಶ ವಿದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತವಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದ ನಿಜರೂಪವನ್ನು ಪರಿಚಯ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗ್ರಂಥ ಇದು. ಬಹಳ ಮಹತ್ವಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವನಿಂದ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈ ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾನು ಸುಹೃಲ್ಲೇಖವನ್ನು ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡೆ ಎಂದರೆ, ಕ್ರಿಸ್ತ ಪೂರ್ವ ಶಾತವಾಹನ, ಮೊದಲ ಶಾತವಾಹನ, ಅವನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ದೊರಕ್ತದೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಹಿತನುಡಿಗಳನ್ನು ಆಡಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕೃತಿಯೇ ಸುಹೃಲ್ಲೇಖ. ಸುಹೃತ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಗೆಳೆಯ. ಅವನಿಗಾಗಿ ಅವನ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮೇರೆಗೆ ಬುದ್ಧನ ತತ್ವಗಳನ್ನು ಸೆರೆ ಹಿಡಿದುಕೊಟ್ಟಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗ್ರಂಥ ಈ ಸುಹೃಲ್ಲೇಖ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧವಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗ್ರಂಥ ಇದು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಭೋಟ್ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 20ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾಮೆಂಟ್ರಿಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ, ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಮಗದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಈ ಗ್ರಂಥ ಪ್ರಬಲವಾದದ್ದು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾದದ್ದು ಎಂಬುದು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಟಿಬೇಟಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಈ ಗ್ರಂಥವನ್ನು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಗ್ರಂಥದ ವೈಶಿಷ್ಟ್ಯ ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ, ತತ್ವವನ್ನು, ನೈತಿಕ ಮೌಲ್ಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ತತ್ವಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸರಳವಾದ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಈ ಗ್ರಂಥದ ವೈಶಿಷ್ಟ್ಯ. ಟಿಬೇಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಸನ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇರುವ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆ, ನೈತಿಕ ಮೌಲ್ಯಗಳ ಆವಿಷ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಮೊದಲ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಕ್ವತೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ದೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಇದೆ. ಈ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಈ ಗ್ರಂಥ ತುಂಬ ಮೌಲಿಕವಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ನಾನು ಕಾಲದ ಮಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 8 ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆದರೆ 8 ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾತನಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಕಾಲದ ಮಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. 2 ಮುಖ್ಯ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಷಡನುಸ್ಮೃತಯ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ, 6 ಅನುಸ್ಮೃತಿಗಳು, ನಿರಂತರ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬುದ್ಧ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯ ವಿಷಯ. 10 ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಬುದ್ಧ. ಪಾಪವನ್ನು ಆಚರಣೆ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶ ಇದೆ. ಆರ್ಯ ಧನ 7 ಅಂತ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ವಿಶ್ಲೇಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಆತ್ಮಸ್ವರೂಪದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಪ್ರತೀತಿ ಸಮುತ್ಪಾದ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಂಸಾರದ ಬೀಜ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಅಷ್ಟಾಂಗ ಮಾರ್ಗದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಆರ್ಯ ಸತ್ಯ ಚತುಷ್ಟಯ ಅಂತ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧವಾದ ಬೌದ್ಧ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅವುಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ನಾನು ಈಗ ಮಂಡೂಕ ಪೃತಿ ನ್ಯಾಯದಿಂದ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೊದಲು ಅನುಸ್ಮೃತಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ವಿವರಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾಹಿ ಬುದ್ಧೇನ ಸಂದೃಪ್ತಾ ಷಡನುಸ್ಮೃತೆಯ ಸುಭಾಹ ಬುದ್ಧೋ ಧರ್ಮಶ್ಚ ಸಂಘಂಚ ದಾನಂ ಶೀಲಂಚ ಪಂಚಕಂ ದೇವತಾ ಅನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಷಷ್ಠಿ ಪುಣ್ಯಾನುಸ್ಮೃತೆಯ ಇಮಾಹ. ಬುದ್ಧನ ಉಪದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸಾರತರವಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಭಾಗ ಇದು. 6 ಅನುಸ್ಮೃತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಪಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ. ಮೊದಲನೇದ್ದು ಬುದ್ಧಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ, ಬುದ್ಧನ ಅನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ಬುದ್ಧನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ಮರಣೆ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಅವನ ಉಪಕಾರದ ಅರಿವು ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪದ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಟೀಕೆ ಇದೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ಮೊದಲ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನ ಇದು ಈ ಗ್ರಂಥಕ್ಕೆ. ಉಳಿದದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಟಿಬೇಟಿಯನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ, ಬೋಟ್ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದ ಮೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲ ಟೀಕೆ ಇದು. ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಸ ಭಗವಾನ್ ತಥಾಗತಃ ಅರ್ಹನ್ ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ಸಂಬುದ್ಧಃ ವಿದ್ಯಾಚರಣ ಸಂಪನ್ನಃ ಸುಗತಃ ಲೋಕವಿತ್ ಅನುತ್ತರಃ ಪುರುಷದಮ್ಯ ಸಾರಥಿ ಶಾಸ್ತಾ ದೇವಾನಾಂ ಮನುಷ್ಯಾಣಾಂ. ಒಂದೊಂದು ವಿಶೇಷಣದ ಬಗ್ಗೆಯೂ ಸಂಕ್ಷಿಪ್ತ ವಿವರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ ನಾನು. ಅಷ್ಟಸಾಗಸ್ರಿಕ, ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾ ಪಾರಮಿತಾ ಸೂತ್ರ ಮುಂತಾದವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿವರಣೆ ಇದೆ. ಬುದ್ಧನನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ, ಅವನನ್ನು ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಭಗವಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ರಾಗದ್ವೇಷಗಳ ಕೊಳೆಯನ್ನು ಪರಿಹರಿಸುವ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಬುದ್ಧನಿಗೆ ಇದೆ ಎಂಬ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಅವನನ್ನು ಭಗವಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ವಸ್ತುಗಳ ನಿಜರೂಪವನ್ನು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಂಡು ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಉಪದೇಶ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಎಂಬ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಅವನನ್ನು ತಥಾಗತ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಅವನನ್ನು ಕ್ಲೇಶ ಕರ್ಮಗಳ ಮೊದಲಾದ ಶತ್ರುಗಳನ್ನು ಮೆಟ್ಟಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅವನನ್ನು ಅರ್ಹನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಧರ್ಮದ ಸ್ವರೂಪವನ್ನು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿದವನಾದ್ದರಿಂದ ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ಸಂಬುದ್ಧ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅವನನ್ನು. ಅರಿವು, ಆಚರಣೆ, ಶೀಲ ಸಮಾಧಿಗಳು ಅವನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಡುಗಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾವೆ, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ವಿದ್ಯಾಚರಣ ಸಂಪನ್ನ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅವನನ್ನು. ಪುನರಾವೃತ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಸದ್ಗತಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನಾದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅವನನ್ನು ಸುಗತ ಅಂತ ಕರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸತ್ವಲೋಕ, ಭಾಜನ ಲೋಕ ಮೊದಲಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಉತ್ತಮ ಲೋಕಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅರಿವಿದೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಲೋಕವಿತ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಅವನು ಕೋಪ, ರಾಗದ್ವೇಷಗಳನ್ನು ಮೆಟ್ಟಿ ನಿಂತವನು. ನಂದ, ಅಂಗುಲಿಮಾಲ ಮೊದಲಾದವರಿಗೆ ಅದರ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಠವನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥವನು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅವನನ್ನು ಅನುತ್ತರ ಪುರುಷದಮ್ಯ ಸಾರಥಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಮಾನವರು, ದೇವತೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಅವನು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ನಿಯಾಮಕನಾದವನು ಅಂತ. ಹೀಗೆ ಆ ಬೌದ್ಧ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವಿವರಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬುದ್ಧಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ, ಧರ್ಮಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ. ಎರಡನೇದು ಧರ್ಮಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ. ಧರ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಕೂಡ 8 ಅಂಗಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅಂತ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ. ಮೊದಲನೆಯದ್ದು ಸ್ವಾಖ್ಯಾತ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಧರ್ಮದ ಯಥಾರ್ಥವಾದ ನೈಜವಾದ ನಿರೂಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಖ್ಯಾತ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಧರ್ಮದಿಂದ ಪಡೆಯಬೇಕಾದ ನಿಜವಾದ ಲಾಭವನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಧರ್ಮಾನುಷ್ಠಾನ ಮಾಡಿದಂತೆ. ಧರ್ಮದ ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನದ ನಿಜವಾದ ಲಾಭ ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ ಸಂತೋಷ ಶಾಂತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಅನುಭವಿಸುವುದು. ಯಾರ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂತೋಷ ಶಾಂತಿಗಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಧರ್ಮಾನುಷ್ಠಾನ ಮಾಡಿಯೂ ವ್ಯರ್ಥ ಅಂತ ಬುದ್ಧ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಧರ್ಮವನ್ನು ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸಂತೋಷ ಉಂಟಾಗಬೇಕು, ತೃಪ್ತಿಯಾಗಬೇಕು, ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಉಂಟಾಗಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಪಕ್ಷ ನಾವು ಗಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳದೆ ಹೋದರೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಧರ್ಮ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಧರ್ಮದ ಆಭಾಸ ಅಂತ ಬುದ್ಧ ಒತ್ತಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಸಾಂದೃಷ್ಟಿಕ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಎಂದಿಗೂ ಧರ್ಮವನ್ನು ತೊರೆಯಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ದು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇದನ್ನು ಆಕಾಲಿಕ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ದುಃಖದಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನೀಡುವ ಕಾರಣ ಧರ್ಮವನ್ನು ಔಪನಾಯಿಕ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಅಸಾಧಾರಣವಾದ ಮಹತ್ವ ಉಂಟಾದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇದನ್ನು ಅಹಿಪಶ್ಯಕ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಧರ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ 8 ಮುಖಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅಂತ ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಎರಡನೆಯದ್ದು ಸಂಘಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ. ಬುದ್ಧನ ಶ್ರಾವಕ ಸಂಘ ಏನಿದೆ, ಶಿಷ್ಯ ವರ್ಗ ಏನಿದೆ, ಶೀಲ ಸಂಪನ್ನವಾಗಿದೆ, ಸಮಾಧಿ ಸಂಪನ್ನವಾಗಿದೆ, ಶ್ರದ್ಧಾ ಉಳ್ಳದ್ದಾಗಿದೆ ಎಂಬುದಾಗಿ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅರಿವನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸಂಘಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ತ್ಯಾಗಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಂಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ತ್ಯಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆನಂದವನ್ನು ಅನುಭವಿಸತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ತ್ಯಾಗಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬುದ್ಧ ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದು ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ ಗುಣಗಳಿಗೆ ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಬುದ್ಧ ಚಾರಿತ್ರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಮಹತ್ವ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಶೀಲಕ್ಕೆ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಬುದ್ಧ. ಯಾರ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾರಿತ್ರ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಹೊನ್ನು ಮಣ್ಣುಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾರು ಆಸೆ ಪಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನು ಯಾವ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೂ ಬದುಕಿ ಸತ್ತಂತೆ ಅವನು ಅಂತ ಬುದ್ಧ ಕಟುವಾಗಿ ನುಡಿದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಚಾರಿತ್ರ್ಯ ಶೀಲ ಸಂಪತ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬುದ್ಧನ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಇದು ಶೀಲಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಅನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇವಾನುಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ದೇವತೆಗಳ ಸ್ವಭಾವವನ್ನು, ಶೀಲ ಸಮಾಧಿಗಳನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡ ದೇವತೆಗಳ ಸ್ವಭಾವವನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನಕ್ಕೆ ತರಬೇಕು, ದೇವತೆಗಳಂತೆ ನಾವು ಬಾಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅಮೂಲ್ಯವಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ತತ್ವೋಪದೇಶ ಇದು. ಇನ್ನು 10 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅದು ದರ್ಶನಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ, ಆತ್ಮಸ್ವರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನ. ಬುದ್ಧೇನೋದ್ಘೋಷಿತಂ ರೂಪಂ ನಾತ್ಮಾ ಚ ರೂಪಭೃತ್ ನಾತ್ಮಾ ರೂಪೇ ಸ್ಥಿತೋ ನಾಪಿ ರೂಪಮಾತ್ಮನಿ ವಾ ಸ್ಥಿತಂ ಏವಮೇವ ಪರೇ ಸ್ಕಂಧಾಶ್ಚತ್ವಾರೋಪಿ ರೂಪವತ್ ಶೂನ್ಯ ಏವ ಸ್ಥಿತಾಃ ಬೋಧ್ಯಂ ತತ್ವಮಿದಂ ಪರಂ ಇತಿ ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನಸ್ಯ ಕಾರಿಕ. ಅತ್ರ ಇದಂ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ ಅವಗಂತವ್ಯಂ. ನೈಯಾಯಿಕಾಃ ವದಂತಿ ಜ್ಞಾನಾಧಿಕರಣಂ ಆತ್ಮ ಇತಿ, ವೇದಾಂತಿನಃ ವದಂತಿ ಜ್ಞಾನಮೇವ ಆತ್ಮ ಇತಿ. ಅಯಂ ಭೇದಃ ಬೌದ್ಧದರ್ಶನೆ ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ಪ್ರಕಟೀಕ್ರಿಯತೆ. ನಾತ್ಮನಿ ರೂಪಂ ನ ಆತ್ಮ ರೂಪಾಧಿಕರಣಂ ನಾಪಿ ರೂಪೇ ಆತ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯತೆ ನಾಪಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನೇ ಆತ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯತೆ ನಾಪಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಂ ಆತ್ಮನಿ ತಿಷ್ಠತಿ ನಾತ್ಮ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಸ್ಯ ಅಧಿಕರಣಂ ತರ್ಹಿ ಆತ್ಮನ ಸ್ವರೂಪಂ ಕೀದೃಶಂ ಭವತಿ ಇತಿ ವಿಚಾರೇ ಆತ್ಮನಿ ಕಿಮಪಿ ನಾಸ್ತಿ ಇತಿ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ ವಿಭಾವನೀಯಂ. ಏವಮೇವ ಅತ್ರ ಚಿಂತಯಂತು. ಸ್ಕಂಧಾಶ್ಚತ್ವಾರೋಪಿ ಚತ್ವಾರಃ ಸ್ಕಂಧಾ ಅಪಿ ನ ಸಂತಿ ಆತ್ಮನಿ ಏತದೇವ ಆತ್ಮನಃ ನಿಜಂ ಸ್ವರೂಪಂ ಪಾರಮಾರ್ಥಿಕಂ ರೂಪಂ. ರೂಪಸ್ಕಂದಃ ಸಂಜ್ಞಾಸ್ಕಂದಃ ವೇದನಾಸ್ಕಂದಃ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರಸ್ಕಂದ ಇತಿ ಸ್ಕಂಧಾಃ ಬೌದ್ಧದರ್ಶನೆ ಅಭಿಹಿತಾಃ ವಿದ್ಯಂತೆ. ತತ್ರ ಪಂಚಸ್ಕಂಧಾನಾಂ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಪರಮಾಣವಃ ರೂಪಸ್ಕಂಧಾಃ ಇತಿ ವ್ಯಪದಿಶ್ಯಂತೆ. ಸವಿಕಲ್ಪಕಂ ಜ್ಞಾನಂ ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟ ವಿಷಯಕಂ ಜ್ಞಾನಂ ಸಂಜ್ಞಾಸ್ಕಂಧ ಇತಿ ವ್ಯವಹ್ರಿಯತೆ. ಸುಖದುಃಖೇ ವೇದನಾಸ್ಕಂಧ ಇತ್ಯುಚ್ಯತೆ. ಸಮನಂತರ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಯಃ ನಾಮ ಸಂ ಅನಂತರ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಯಃ ಅನುಭವಾನಂತರಂ ಯಜ್ಞಾನಂ ಜಾಯತೆ ಸ್ಮೃತಿರೂಪಂ ವಾ ಭವತು ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಭಿಜ್ಞಾರೂಪಂ ವಾ ಭವತು ತಾದೃಶಂ ಜ್ಞಾನಂ ಸಮನಂತರ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಯ ಶಬ್ದೇನ ವ್ಯಪದಿಶ್ಯತೆ. ನಿರ್ವಿಕಲ್ಪಕ ಜ್ಞಾನಂ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಸ್ಕಂಧ ಇತಿ ವ್ಯಪದಿಶ್ಯತೆ ಬೌದ್ಧದರ್ಶನೆ. ಸ್ಕಂಧಾನೋ ನಿರ್ಮಿತಾಃ ಸಂತಿ ಕಾಲೇನಾಪಿ ಯದೃಚ್ಛಯಾ ನ ಪ್ರಕೃತ್ಯಾ ಏತೆ ಸ್ಕಂಧಾಃ ಸರ್ವೇ ಕಲ್ಪಿತಾಃ ಸರ್ವೇ ಕ್ಷಣಿಕಾಃ. ಏವಂಚ ಆತ್ಮನಃ ಸ್ವರೂಪಂ ಏವಂ ಭವತಿ ಆತ್ಮನಿ ಕಿಮಪಿ ನಾಸ್ತಿ. ಅದ್ವೈತ ದರ್ಶನಸ್ಯ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನಸ್ಯ ಚ ಅಯಂ ಭೇದಃ ಅದ್ವೈತಭಿಃ ಸ್ವೀಯ ಗ್ರಂಥೇಷು ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಿತೋ ವಿದ್ಯತೆ. ಶ್ರೀಹರ್ಷಃ ಇದಂ ಆವಿಷ್ಕರೋತಿ ಸ್ವೀಯ ಗ್ರಂಥೆ ಖಂಡನ ಖಂಡ ಖಾದ್ಯೆ ಯದಾದಿಮಃ ಬುದ್ಧಃ ಸರ್ವಮೇವ ಶೂನ್ಯಮಾಹ ವಯಂತು ವೈದಿಕಾಃ ವೇದಾಂತಿನಃ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಸ್ವರೂಪ ನಿರೂಪಣಾವಸರೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸದ್ರೂಪಮಿತಿ ವದಾಮಃ. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ತು ಭಾವರೂಪಂ ಶೂನ್ಯಂತು ಅಭಾವರೂಪಂ. ಅಭಾವರೂಪಂ ಶೂನ್ಯಂ ಭಾವರೂಪಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಇತಿ ಮಹಾನ್ ಭೇದಃ ವಿದ್ಯತೆ ಇತಿ ಭೇದಃ ಪ್ರಕಾಶಿತಃ ಶ್ರೀಹರ್ಷೇಣ ಸ್ವೀಯ ಗ್ರಂಥೆ. ಏವಂಚ ಬೌದ್ಧದರ್ಶನೆ ಪರತತ್ವ ನಿರೂಪಣಾವಸರೆ ಚತುಷ್ಕೋಟಿ ವಿನಿರ್ಮುಕ್ತಂ ಶೂನ್ಯಂ ಪ್ರಾಹುಃ ಇತಿ ಬೌದ್ಧಾಃ ಜಗುಃ. ಚತುಷ್ಕೋಟಿ ವಿನಿರ್ಮುಕ್ತಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸದ್ರೂಪಂ ಸತ್ ಪರಂತು ಶೂನ್ಯಂ ನ ಸತ್ ನ ಅಸತ್ ನ ಸದಸತ್ ನ ಸದಸದ್ ವಿಲಕ್ಷಣಂ ತತೋಪಿ ಭಿನ್ನಂ ಇತಿ ಬೌದ್ಧಾಃ ಸಂಗ್ಯರಂತೆ. ಪರಂತು ಅದ್ವೈತವಾದಿನಃ ಸದಿತಿ ವದಂತಿ. ತತ್ರ ವಿಮರ್ಶಃ ಅನ್ಯಃ ಪರಂತು ವಿಚಾರಕ್ರಮಃ ಮಯಾ ಪ್ರಕಟೀಕ್ರಿಯತೆ. ಅಯಂ ಭೇದಃ ಬೌದ್ಧದರ್ಶನಾತ್ ಅದ್ವೈತದರ್ಶನೆ ಅವಗಂತವ್ಯಃ ಇತಿ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ ತತ್ರ ಕಿಂಚಿತ್ ಜ್ಞಾತವ್ಯಂ. अयं प्रधानः विषयः अत्र ग्रन्थे प्रतिपादितो विद्यते। तत्र माध्यमिककारिकायां नागार्जुनः वदति शून्यता सर्वदृष्टीनां प्रोक्ता निस्सरणं जनैः येषां तु शून्यता दृष्टिः तान् असाध्यान् बभाषिरे। अयमर्थः सर्वदृष्टीनां शून्यता, शून्यं नाम एतादृशं भवति तत्र किमपि न विद्यते, भावधर्मः अभावधर्मः कोऽपि नास्ति, सद्रूपत्वम् असद्रूपत्वं किमपि नास्ति, तादृशं तत्त्वं शून्यं भवति। अस्तीति नास्तीति उभेपि अन्ता, शुद्धि अशुद्धि इति इमेपि अन्ता, तस्मादुभे अन्तविवर्जयित्वा मध्येपि स्थानं न करोति पंडितः। लोके अस्तीति कमपि पदार्थं दृष्ट्वा केचन व्याख्यास्यन्ति, नास्तीति कमपि वदन्ति, अस्ति नास्तीति मध्यमपक्षः, एते सर्वेपि पक्षाः शून्यविषये न प्रचलन्ति, न स्थास्यन्ति। एतादृशं तत्त्वं शून्यतत्त्वमिति स्वयं सः कथयति। तत्र आर्यकात्यायनपादसूत्रप्रसन्नपदव्याख्यायाम् अयं विषयः विस्तरेण निरूपितो विद्यते। माध्यमिककारिकायामपि सः विशिष्य एतस्मिन् विषये स्वकीय व्याख्यानं करिष्यति। नस्वतो नापि परतः द्वाभ्यां नाप्यहेतुतः उत्पन्ना जातु विद्यन्ते भावाक्वचन केचन। लोके घटादीनां निर्माणे निमित्तकारणं दृश्यते, उपादानकारणं च दृश्यते। उपादानकारणं भवति मृत्, निमित्तकारणं भवति कुलालः। एवञ्च कारणादिना किञ्चित् कार्यं लोके दृश्यते, अस्माभिः अनुभूयते, परन्तु न स्वतः नापि परतः, न स्वतः किमपि वस्तु उत्पद्यते, नापि परतः उत्पद्यते, न वा उभाभ्याम् उभयोः सामानाधिकरणे किमपि दृश्यते, किमपि उत्पद्यते। एवं तर्हि किमपि दृश्यते तत्सर्वं केवलं मनसि चिन्त्यते, वस्तुतः पदार्थः नास्ति, वस्तुतः वस्तु किमपि नास्ति। गुरुचरणैः स्वीय व्याख्यानावसरे इदं प्रकाशितं। बहिः वस्तु किमपि नास्ति, बाह्यं किमपि नास्ति, अन्तः वस्तु विद्यते। बहिर्धा नास्ति वै दृश्यम् अतो वै चित्तमात्रकम् इति कारिका। बहिर्धा नास्ति वै दृश्यं, बहिः यद् दृश्यते तत्सर्वं किमपि नास्ति, अन्तः विद्यते केवलम्। अन्तः ज्ञानरूपं वस्तु विद्यते, तदेव बाह्यरूपेण वयं चिन्तयामः, वस्तुतस्तु किमपि बहिः न विद्यते। यथा स्वप्नावस्थायां धनकनकादिकम् अस्माभिः दृश्यते, परन्तु बहिः धनं नास्ति, कनकादिकं नास्ति, कलत्रादिकं नास्ति, पुत्राः न सन्ति, तद्वत् सर्वमपि इदं सामृतम् अविद्यया दृश्यमानं विद्यते इति स्पष्टमिदम् अभिहितमस्ति। माध्यमिककारिकायां नागार्जुनः वदति द्वे सत्ये समुपाश्रित्य बुद्धानां धर्मदेशना लोके सामृतसत्यञ्च सत्यञ्च परमार्थतः। द्वे सत्ये समुपाश्रित्य सत्यं द्विविधं भवति, सामृतसत्यं पारमार्थिकसत्यमिति। पारमार्थिकसत्यं शून्यं, सामृतसत्यं यदिदानीम् अस्माभिः अनुभूयते, घटपटादिकं कलत्रादिकं पुत्रादिकं तत्सर्वम् अस्माभिः सामृतसत्यम् इत्युच्यते। सामृतसत्यं नाम अविद्यया परिदृश्यमानमिदं सर्वमपि अन्ततः न भविष्यति इति बुद्धः स्वीय अभिप्रायं प्रकटितवान् अस्ति। तस्मात् एतदस्माभिः तत्त्वविषये अवश्यम् अस्माभिः अवगन्तव्यम् इति भगवान् बुद्धः स्वीयग्रन्थेषु प्रत्यपीपदत्। तदस्माभिः कदापि न विस्मर्तव्यम्। अनन्तरम् अन्ते अहं प्रतीत्यसमुत्पादविषये किञ्चिदेव वदञ्चयामि। प्रतीत्यसमुत्पादविषये इदम् अस्माभिः अवश्यम् अवगन्तव्यम्। बहुश्लोकैः अयं विषयः अनेन निरूपितो विद्यते। संसारस्य बीजं किं मूलं किम् इति विचार्यमाणे अविद्या संसारस्य बीजं मूलकारणं। ततः संस्कारः जायते, तदनन्तरं विज्ञानं जायते, विज्ञानं नामरूपात्मकं भवति, तदनन्तरम् इन्द्रियाणि भवन्ति, इन्द्रियैः विषयाणाम् अत्यन्तसंयोगे तु अस्माकं तत्र तृष्णा जायते। इदं मम आवश्यकम्, एतदस्माभिः पेयम्, एतदस्माभिः ಭೋಕ್ತವ್ಯಂ ಇತ್ಯೇವಮಾದಿಕ್ರಮೇಣ ತತ್ರ ರಾಗಃ ಜಾಯತೆ. ತತಃ ಪರಂ ಪುನಃ ಪುನಃ ವಿಷಯತೃಷ್ಣಾ ಜಾಯತೆ. ಅನಂತರಂ ಭೋಗಃ ಅನುಭೂಯತೆ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ. ತೇನ ಚ ದುಃಖಾದಿಕಂ ಅನುಭೂಯತೆ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ. ಏವಂಚ ದುಃಖಾದೇಃ ಮೂಲಂ ವಿಷಯತೃಷ್ಣಾ, ವಿಷಯತೃಷ್ಣಾಯಾಃ ಮೂಲಂ ಅನುಭವಃ, ಅನುಭವಸ್ಯ ಮೂಲಂ ವಿಷಯಸಂಬಂಧಃ, ವಿಷಯಸಂಬಂಧಸ್ಯ ಕಾರಣಂ ಕಾರಣಾನಿ ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಾಣಿ, ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಸ್ಯ ಕಾರಣಂ ನಾಮರೂಪಾತ್ಮಕಂ ವಿಶ್ವಂ, ತಸ್ಯ ಕಾರಣಂ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರಃ, ತಸ್ಯ ಮೂಲ ಕಾರಣಂ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾ, ಅವಿದ್ಯಾಯಾಃ ನಿವೃತ್ತೌ ಸರ್ವಮಪಿ ಇದಂ ದುಃಖಜಾತಂ ನಿವರ್ತತೆ ಇತಿ ಪ್ರತೀತಿ ಸಮುತ್ಪಾದ ವಿಷಯೇ ಭಗವತಾ ಬುದ್ಧೇನ ವಿಸ್ತರೇಣ ತತ್ವಂ ನಿರೂಪಿತಮಸ್ತಿ. ತಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ ಆತ್ಮಸ್ವರೂಪಂ ಏವಂ ಪ್ರತೀತಿ ಸಮುತ್ಪಾದಃ ನಾಮ ವಿಶ್ವಸ್ಯ ದುಃಖಜಾತಸ್ಯ ಕಿಂ ಕಾರಣಮಿತ್ಯಸ್ಮಿನ್ ವಿಷಯೇ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತಯಾ ಯದಿ ಅವಗಮಃ ಜ್ಞಾನಂ ಜಾಯತೆ ತದಾ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ ತಸ್ಯ ನಿವೃತ್ತ್ಯರ್ಥಂ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಃ ವಿಧಾತುಂ ಶಕ್ಯತೆ. ಏತಾನ್ಯಸಂಖ್ಯದುಃಖಾನಿ ಪುಂಜೀಭೂತಾನಿ ಜನ್ಮನಾ ತನ್ನಾಶಾದೇವ ಸರ್ವೇಷಾಂ ನಿರೋಧ ಸುಕರೋ ಭವೇತ್. ಯಾವತ್ಪರ್ಯಂತಂ ಸರ್ವಮಿದಂ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾವಿರಸಿತಮಿತಿ ವಯಂ ನ ಜಾನೀಮಃ ತಾವತ್ಪರ್ಯಂತಂ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾಯಾಃ ನಿವೃತ್ತ್ಯರ್ಥಂ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಂ ನ ಕುರ್ಮಃ. ಯಾವತ್ಪರ್ಯಂತಂ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾ ಅನುವರ್ತತೆ ತಾವತ್ಪರ್ಯಂತಂ ಸಂಸಾರಃ ಅನುವರ್ತತೆ. ಸುಖದುಃಖಾದಯಃ ಅನುಭೂಯಂತೆ. ಏತೇಷಾಂ ನಿವೃತ್ತ್ಯರ್ಥಂ ಅಸ್ಮಾಭಿಃ ಸಂಸಾರಸ್ಯ ಸ್ವರೂಪಂ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾಯಾಃ ಸ್ವರೂಪಂ ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ವಿಜ್ಞಾತವ್ಯಂ ಇತಿ ಭಗವಾನ್ ಬುದ್ಧಃ ಅಸ್ಮಾನ್ ಪ್ರತಿ ಉಪದಿದೇಶ ಇತಿ ನಾಗಾರ್ಜುನಃ ಸ್ವೀಯ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯಂ ಸಮ್ಯಗೇವ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಪೀಪದ ತತ್ರ. ಅಂತತಃ ಆರ್ಯ ಅಷ್ಟಾಂಗ ಮಾರ್ಗ ವಿಷಯೇ ವಿಸ್ತರೇಣ ನಿರೂಪಿತಮಸ್ತಿ. ತದಪಿ ಅಹಂ बहु न वदामि. अन्ते आर्यसत्यचतुष्टयमिति विषयम् अयं प्रतिपादितवान् अस्ति. अस्मिन् विषये किञ्चिदेव वाग्व्यापारयित्वा उपरमामि विस्तरात्. तत्र दुःखं सत्यमिति प्रथमं तत्त्वं. दुःखं सत्यमिति प्रथमं तत्त्वम्. अत्र कारणं तु रूपस्कन्धः, विज्ञानस्कन्धः, संस्कारस्कन्धः इत्यादिकं कारणमिति अस्माभिः प्रागेव इदानीम् अवगतमस्ति. इतः परं नानाविधतृष्णाः भवन्ति अस्माकं, तदपि दुःखस्य कारणं भवति. एतदपि सत्यं. तृष्णासु वैविध्यमस्ति. कामतृष्णा, भवतृष्णा, विभवतृष्णा इत्यादिक्रमेण तृष्णायां वैविध्यमस्ति. तादृशतृष्णायाः दुःखकारणत्वमस्ति. अनन्तरं दुःखस्य कारणं किमिति अस्माभिः विज्ञाय तन्निवृत्त्यर्थं यः प्रयासः क्रियते तस्य दुःखनिरोध सत्यं समुदय सत्यमिति पदेन तद्व्यपदिश्यते. अनन्तरं मार्ग दुःखनिरोधोपायः एतदपि सत्यम् इति आर्यसत्यचतुष्टयमिति नागार्जुनेन उपदिष्टमस्ति. एतेषां स्वरूपम् अस्माभिः यथा बौद्धदर्शनं विज्ञाय एतेषां निवृत्त्यर्थं प्रयासः कर्तव्यः इति भगवान् बुद्धः अस्मान् प्रति निरूपितवान् अस्ति इत्युक्त्वा समयाभावात् विस्तरात् उपरमामि. एवं मया तु 10 विषयाः अस्मिन् विषये मया निबन्धे निरूप्यन्ते, परन्तु इदानीं विषयचतुष्टयं मया संक्षेपेण निरूपितमस्ति. अत्र यदि प्रश्नाः भवन्ति तर्हि जिज्ञासा अस्ति चेत् केचन प्रष्टुं शक्नुवन्ति.
How can we defend the law of karma in Buddhism? Because it speaks about anatma.
यदि कश्चन स्वभावः ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತುವಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟವಾದ ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಬದಲಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಯಾವುದು ಬದಲಾಗ್ತದೋ ಅದು ಸತ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವುದು ಬದಲಾಗ್ತದೋ ಅದು ಸತ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಪ್ಪಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಂಗತಿ. ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಅವನು ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಅನಾಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ನಾಳೆ ಸಾಧುವಾದ, ಸಜ್ಜನಾದ, ದೊಡ್ಡವರ ಸಂಪರ್ಕದಿಂದ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯಾದ. ಯಾವುದು ಸತ್ಯ? ಮೊದಲು ಕಂಡದ್ದು ಸತ್ಯವೂ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಈಗ ಕಾಣುವುದು ಸತ್ಯ, ಮೊದಲದು ಸತ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಏನು ಸ್ವಭಾವ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇದು ಸತ್ಯ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ವಸ್ತುವಿನ ಸ್ವಭಾವವೂ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರತಿ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗುವುದರಿಂದ ಇದರ ಸತ್ಯ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಪರಿಗಣನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಬುದ್ಧನ ಮೂಲಭೂತವಾದ ಚಿಂತನೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಆತ್ಮನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುವ ಗುಣಗಳು ಇವತ್ತೇ ನಾವು ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ, ಇದು ನೈಜ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ಗುಣಗಳು ಯಾವುದೂ ಆತ್ಮನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಆತ್ಮ ಮೂಲತಃ ಯಾವ ಗುಣಗಳೂ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತು ಎಂಬುದು ಬುದ್ಧನ ಪರಿಕಲ್ಪನೆ.
ಸರ್, ಆತ್ಮನ ಗುಣಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದರೆ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮ ಹೇಗೆ ಆಗೋದು? ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ಮ, how can you talk about law of karma? There should be continuity. When there is change, there cannot be continuity. And according to Buddha's philosophy, I think what is seen is real, and that is the end of it.
ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಈ ಪರಿಕಲ್ಪನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸುಖ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಶ್ರೀಮಂತ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬುದ್ಧಿವಂತ ಅಂತ ಅಂದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೇವೆ, ವರ್ಷಗಟ್ಟಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಕಳೀತೇವೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆನಂದ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಆತ್ಮನ ನಿತ್ಯನಲ್ಲದೆ ಹೋದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ ಅಂಥದೇ ಒಂದು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಪರಂಪರೆ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇದನ್ನೇ ಸಂಸಾರ ಅಂತ ಬುದ್ಧರು ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡದ್ದು. ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಪರಂಪರೆ, ಒಂದು ಜ್ಞಾನದಂತಹ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಅನುಶ್ಯೂತವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದು ನದಿ ಹರಿತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮುಂದೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನಾವು. ಒಂದು ಪ್ರವಾಹ ಹರಿದು ಹೋಯಿತು, ಮುಂದೊಂದು ಪ್ರವಾಹ ಬಂತು, ಅದು ಹರಿದು ಹೋಯಿತು. ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಬಾರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರವಾಹ ಹರಿದು ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ನಮಗೇನು ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ? ಈಗ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದ್ದು, ಈ ಹಿಂದೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅಂದುಕೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದು ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದರಂತೆ ಇದೆ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ನಾವು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆದರೆ ವಾಸ್ತವಿಕವಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಕ್ಷಣ ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ಆಗುವಂತೆ ಆತ್ಮನೂ ಕೂಡ ಜ್ಞಾನವೂ ಕೂಡ ಭಿನ್ನ ಭಿನ್ನವಾಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಆ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ಅನುವೃತ್ತ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮ ಮುಂತಾದವುಗಳನ್ನು ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, ವಿವರಿಸ್ತದೆ ಅದನ್ನು. ಆದರೆ ಅಂತಿಮವಾಗಿ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ತತ್ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಸತ್ಯವೇ ಹೊರತು ಅಂತಿಮ ಸತ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ವಿಷಯ ಅವರದ್ದು.
ಯಾವುದು ಪರಂಪರೆಯಾಗಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಆ ಪರಂಪರೆ ಕಾಣುವ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಆತ್ಮ.
ಹೌದು,
ಅದು ಪರಂಪರೆಯ,
ಅದು ಪರಂಪರೆಯೇ, ಅದು ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಪರಂಪರೆಯೇ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಿತ್ಯನಾದ ಒಬ್ಬ ಜ್ಞಾನವುಳ್ಳ ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು ಒಪ್ಪಿದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ವೇದಾಂತ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನಕ್ಕೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಒಪ್ಪುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ವೇದಾಂತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮಾಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಪರಂಪರೆ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಪರಂಪರೆಯೇ ಸಂತತವಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತದೆ. ಬಹಳ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೊಕ್ಕು ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಅದು ಪರಂಪರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಕ್ಷಣ ಬದಲಾಗ್ತದೆ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು.
ಪರಂಪರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಹುಟ್ಟುವ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲ, ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ಅವನು ಪರಂಪರೆಯ.
ಅವನು ಹಾಗೆಯೇ. ಆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಹುಟ್ಟುವ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅನ್ನುವ ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ನೀವು ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, ಜ್ಞಾನಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಬೇರೆಯಾದ ಆತ್ಮ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಈ ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಜ್ಞಾನವುಳ್ಳ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ಪರಿಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಜ್ಞಾನವೇ ಆತ್ಮ, ಜ್ಞಾನವೇ ಆತ್ಮ. ಆ ಜ್ಞಾನಂಚ ಕ್ಷಣಭಂಗುರಂ, ಪ್ರತಿ ಕ್ಷಣ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅದು. ಇದು ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನದ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ರಮ. ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ವಸ್ತುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗುವುದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಂಡಂತೆ ಆತ್ಮನು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರತಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಆತ್ಮನು ಹೀಗೆ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬೌದ್ಧರ ಪರಿಕಲ್ಪನೆ. ಆಯ್ತು.
ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು
ಅತ್ರ ವಂಶೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಹೋದಯೇನ ಮಹಾನುಶ್ರಮ ಅಸ್ಮಿನ್ ವಿಷಯೇ ವ್ಯಧಾಯಿ ಗುರುಚರಣಾನಾಂ ಆದೇಶಾನುಸಾರೇಣ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನೆ, ದ್ವೈತ ದರ್ಶನೆ, ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟಾದ್ವೈತ ದರ್ಶನೆ, ಅನ್ಯಾನ್ಯ ದರ್ಶನೇಷು ಚ ಬೌದ್ಧ ದರ್ಶನಾನಾಂ ಯಾ ವಿಚಾರ ಪ್ರಣಾಲಿ ವಿದ್ಯತೆ ತಾಮ್ ಅವಗಂತುಂ ಅಯಂ ಪ್ರಯಾಸಃ ವೀತಃ ಸಹ ನೂನಮಪಿ ಸಾಧುವಾದಮರ್ಹತಿ. ಅತ್ರ ಯೇ ವ್ಯಾಪೃತಃ ವಿದ್ಯಂತೆ ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸಃ ಸರ್ವೇ ತೇ ಸಾಧುವಾದಮರ್ಹಂತಿ. ಗುರುಚರಣಾನಾಂ ಚರಣನಲಿನೇಭ್ಯಃ ಸಾಷ್ಟಾಂಗ ಪ್ರಣಿಪಾತಂ ವಿಧಾಯ ವಾಗ್ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಾತ್ ಉಪರಮಾಮಿ. ಮಮ ಕೃತೆ ಅಯಂ ಅವಕಾಶಃ ಪರಿಕಲ್ಪಿತ ಇತಿ ಹೇತೋಃ ಪುನಃ ಆಧಮರಣ್ಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ಯ ವಾಗ್ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಾತ್ ಉಪರಮಾಮಿ. ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ.
ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಬೌದ್ಧರ ಚಿಂತನೆಯನ್ನು ಅವರ ವೇದಾಂತದ ಒಳಗೆ ನುಗ್ಗಿ ಅವರು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡುವಾಗಲೇ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ. ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ, ವಾಲ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಬೇರೆ ವೇದಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾವುದೂ ಮುಟ್ಟದೆ ಬೌದ್ಧರು ಏನನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಆ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾತ್ರ ಉತ್ತರವಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ವಿಷಯ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ನಿರೂಪಣೆಗೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫುಲ್ ತಲ್ಲೀನರಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಅವರು ಕೇಳಿದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ವೇದಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ, ದ್ವೈತ ವೇದಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಉತ್ತರ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಕ್ರಮ ಅದು. ಆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಅವರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾವುದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫುಲ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಲೀನರಾಗಿ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಅದು ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಬೌದ್ಧರ ದರ್ಶನ ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗೊಂದಲ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ, ಆದರೆ ಅವರ ಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಆಗುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಮಯ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಅವರ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇದು, ಆದರೂ ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರದನ್ನು ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಹತ್ರ ಭಿನ್ನಃ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವವರ ಹತ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಯ ಕಾಲಾವಕಾಶ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಚೆ ಈಚೆ ಆಗುತ್ತದೆ ಕ್ರಮಗಳು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡುವಾಗ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬರವಣಿಗೆ ಕೊಡುವಾಗ, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲೋ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡುವಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಲೇಖನ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಉಪಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಮುಂದಿನ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕರು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕರ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ವೇದಾಂತಕ್ಕೆ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ತಾವು ಅರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವ. ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ, ಲೇಖನದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಮಾತಾಡಲು ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಪಾಠ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಏನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ, ನಾನು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಹತ್ರ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ನಿಮ್ದೇನು ಅಂತ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು 10 ದಿವಸ ಆಯಿತು ಕೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ, ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಹತ್ರ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ, ನೀನೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿ ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತಂದರು. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಏನೋ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು ಅವರು, ಅದು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀನೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿ ಹೇಳು ಅಂತಂದರು. ನಾನೊಂದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು. ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ನೋಡ್ತೇನೆ, ವಿಷಯ ಸಿಗ್ತದೋ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ವಿತಿನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೀನು ಹೇಳಿದ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಆಯಿತು, ನಾನು ಬರ್ತೇನೆ, ಬರೆದು ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಷ್ಟು ವೇದಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಡಿತವುಳ್ಳಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎನ್ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶಾಚಾರ್ಯರದ್ದು. ಅವರು ಮುಂದಿನ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕರು, ಅವರು ಮುಂದೆ ಬಂದು ತಮ್ಮ ವಿಚಾರಧಾರೆಯನ್ನು ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ.
ಜಯತಿ ಹರಿರಚಿಂತ್ಯ ಸರ್ವದೇವೈಕ ವಂದ್ಯಃ ಪರಮ ಗುರುರಭೀಷ್ಟಾ ವಾಪ್ತಿದ ಸಜ್ಜನಾನಾಂ ನಿಖಿಲ ಗುಣಗಣಾರ್ಣೋ ನಿತ್ಯ ನಿರ್ಮುಕ್ತ ದೋಷಃ ಸರಸಿಜ ನಯನೋಸೌ ಶ್ರೀಪತಿರ್ಮಾನದೋ ನಃ. ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. We consider many religions. Religion talking on Hindu tattva is considered as Hinduism. On Jain, if we consider, they call it as Jainism. On Buddha or Buddha's principles means Buddhism. So all religions are sometimes named as Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, many isms. But I often say, more than having any ism, develop enthusiasm. If you develop some kind of enthusiasm, what is there in that? Why they are telling such kind of principles? If you develop such kind of enthusiasm, then all philosophies, they have come with some kind of background. They try to improve the society. May not be perfect, but they have done their work to their level. If we realize this, there will be no conflict at all in any kind of religious presentations. Look at the way. Charvakas. Charvakas means we people only, the new trend of the people now generation is considered as Charvakas. Because what Charvakas do say, enjoy everything, don't worry about the complexities. Whether you will get this in or whether you will be punished, don't worry. Runam krutva grutam pibet. So take money, enjoy, and then don't worry about repaying. Same trend of the modern world. So, what the Charvakas are going to say means, enjoy the things, don't worry about the complexities. While this was the trend and everyone was enjoying, everyone became completely materialistic. We have to enjoy, we have to gain property, we have to make money, like that. Then there arose a social need that don't enjoy in materialistic things more and more. Assume someone is taking more and more sugar means some B-sider may tell, you may develop some kind of sugar. Understand? Don't access too much to that, like that. Once someone was eating payasam. You know what is payasam means? Sweet, liquid, juice. Someone was eating payasam. Another one was telling, it is not payasam, it is not payasam, it is poison. It is poison, like that. That word made him more alert. More alert. I should not consume it more. Like that, it made him more alert. If you won't say poison, take with your own choice, take with your own guidance means it doesn't make much kind of effect. Charvaka said, enjoy the world. Don't worry about the complexities. Then Buddhism came and Buddhism said, Sarvam shunyam shunyam shunyam. The purpose is don't enjoy. Over enjoyment was there. That is why this theory made the world to spoil. Then Buddhas came and they said that Sarvam shunyam shunyam, Sarvam kshanikam kshanikam. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. Everything is void. So don't get involved. That is the perception of the society which made Buddha to tell that Shunyavada. That's okay. Another one experienced the realness of the world. What to do? Jainism. Experience the realness of the world. What to do? Then, what they said means, it will cause violence. In Vedas, they say that anyhow some kind of process is there, like that they say, and it all causes some kind of violence. So due to violence, society is getting spoiled. So that is why if you talk too much, it leads to destroy of some kind of bacteria or that one. Or if you walk, so it happens. Non-violence is most preferred, like that. They looked at the negative aspects of the world. Charvakas, enjoy everything, don't worry, like that they say. Buddha said about the wideness of the world. But Jains say, don't cause violence to anyone. They looked at it. Eating, walking, all this cause some kind of violence in some way or the other. So they looked at the negative aspects of the world. Tarkikas, like that, what they say, what we often say, they just worried about cause and effect. Some effect is there, means there should be some cause. So this is cause, this is effect. Like that they were telling. In that extent, they may accept God, they may not accept God, but they expect cause and effect. So this was that. But no one is interested about what is the real truth. You ask any producer or any entrepreneur or CEO, what do you want, he asks. If you want that, we will give that one only. Like that. It is not the question of what they want. It is the question of what they need. Do they really need? Will it help their progress or not? That is why you see, they consider Charvaka as Ahikavada. Ahikavada is related to this world. Buddhism as Kshanikavada. Telling everything Kshanika, momentary, it will be for only one moment. Like that anyhow they tell. And Jaina system is considered as Sadvada. Anything it can become. Anything it can become. Like that anyhow they say. But they are upholding non-violence. Violence is there. That is why if violence is there, don't believe in Veda. Like that anyhow they are telling. Tarkikas, reasonism. But look at Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya did say anything. It is not Kshanikavada, it is not Ahikavada, it is not reasonism. It is not bringing the negative aspect. Some bring the negative and the positive aspect. Tarkikas. If you are experiencing joy, you are bound to experience sorrows. They say, even God is not having joy, because joys and sorrows go hand in hand. So we won't accept joy even in God. That's what they say. What Madhvacharya says? Advaita philosophy says Mayavada. What Madhvacharya says? Madhvacharya says Madhva philosophy is considered Tattvavada. Tattvavada means I say what it is, not what you need or what is your taste. No. What is there in Veda, what is there coming to my experience, that I will relate. No one named his religion as Tattvavada. I have seen thousands of books, thousands of writers. Simply for your information, only Swami Prabhupada titled his Bhagavad Gita as it is. Everyone in my perception like that he wrote. But Swami Prabhupada, millions of reprints have happened, particularly in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Title is Bhagavad Gita as it is. What Bhagavad Gita says, I am telling like that. First of all, it was told by Madhvacharya only, Gita-artham vakshyami leshatha. But it was taken by Swami Prabhupada in such a way. So, what Bhagavad Gita says, I will tell. Like that they relied upon. But Madhvacharya Vada is Tattvavada. Tattvavada means on the facts, on the experience only, what is there, what is samsara, what is liberation, that I will tell. Like that. By birth, we are Madhvas. We don't know the greatness of Madhva philosophy. It is like being in an AC room. While you are in the AC room, we won't sweat. We won't know what is the heat. If you come outside, then you will experience how much cold it was inside. So we are by birth Madhvas means we can't understand the greatness of Madhva philosophy. But Trivikrama Pandita Acharya was mentally of another sect. He read his works, he experienced it and came. So that is why Tattvavada is great. Yo vipralamba viparita mati prabhuta vadan nirasya krutavan bhuvi tattvavadam. That is what anyhow Vyasaraja and others declare in their verse by praising Madhva. So what I want to say, Buddhism came to bring some goodness in the society. For that they wanted to develop something and they said, they didn't accept Veda as Pramana, but they accepted that some kind of sorrow is there. How to remove that sorrow? Like that they wanted to give some kind of suggestion. It is like some doctor giving suggestion to a patient without looking into scanning report. I don't want scanning report, but I will tell some kind of solution like that. It may be authentic, may not be authentic. See, Buddhism is worldly related, I want to tell. Many questions may arise, nothing is more perfect, but what I want to tell me is, see, in nowadays, people don't want process. They want result. First standard, second standard, 8th standard, 10th standard, studying and getting SLC certificate. Okay. I don't want that. I want to sit for SLC exam after 18 years and get a certificate. Both are equal. Both are equally considered as equal. So, don't believe in the process, believe in the result. Correct, no? Take SLC certificate after 18 years. It is also equal to SLC only. Even if you studied from the first standard to 10th, if you directly attend to SLC, same. Anyone who has crossed 35 years or 25 years can easily have BA degree. PUC is not essential. So process is not important, result is important. Once Vedavyasa says in one of his works, all his sayings are so good and having so cream in such a way to taste. Punyasya phalam ichanti, punyam nichanti manamaha. Everyone want to be healthy, but no one follows the diet. Correct? No, punyasya phalam ichanti. Everyone want to be healthy, but they don't want to follow diet. Na papa phalam icchanti. They don't want to be diseased. They don't want to be accused. But papam kuruvanti yatnatah. Though warned again and again, papam kuruvanti. They do sinful things. So, Tarkikas say activity in atoms is created so that Paramanu becomes Dvenuka. Dvenuka means 2 atoms. That will become Trenuka, 3 times Trenuka. That is visible. That is visible. And from that what happens is the creation starts. They say from Paramanus the process starts and then the creation starts. They say. Tarkikas, Buddhas say no process. Atoms itself is a, what they say, effect. They don't want process. No atomic, this one, Paramanu becoming Dvenuka, Dvenuka becoming Trinuka, then process, and then becoming a visible one, considering as Gata. No, no, no. Paramanu itself is a Karya. They don't want process. That's what I am telling. They don't want study first standard, second standard, third standard. Result SLC marks card. Sufficient. Why process do we want? Now, process is not essential. We believe in the fruit. They say. But then Paramanu is invisible, but world is visible. How? Means the group of the atoms is more visible, and so that is why it is considered as Karya. This is what they want to explain. So, and another thing, more hard chemical is considered as diamond. They say in Bhaubhuti, in one of his verses, say, Vajradapi katorani mruduni kusumadapi. Great persons means their mind is more harder than the diamond. That means diamond is a hard chemical like that. Or say it is difficult to break like that. Hard chemical like that they say. But in your life you go and exam, purchase a diamond jewelry. A diamond may be in the ring also. Purchase a diamond. Keep it in an almirah. Don't use. Keep it in an almirah. After 1 year you see the weightage of the diamond is decreased. It is not the question whether you use it or not. Hard chemical diamond. If you keep it in an almirah, its weight is being loosened. Once while I had purchased this, it was 10 years before, 10 grams. I use it every day. Now it is 7.5 grams. This they want to say it as Kshanika. It is not sthayi. It is not stable. It is not stable. But they go to an extreme extent and they say, every moment it destructs. There they are wrong. Nothing is permanent in this world. Understand? But what they say, every moment it is changing. Like that they say. So they say, Sarvam Kshanikam Kshanikam. Like that. And what is Sautrantika, like that Swamiji was describing? What is that sutra? Buddhas are having some kind of sutra. Each institute or some organization will be having some kind of emblem, no? That means Satya Nasti Paro Dharmaha. Like that, some kind of emblem will be there, no? Like that, in Buddhism, one sutra is there. Nachatra kaschit chetanaha adhishtata upalabhyate. This is their sutra. No person is being seen active. That means as a person who does the work. Nachatra kaschit chetanaha adhishtata upalabhyate. This is the sutra in the Buddhism. Anyone who questions that decision, sutrasya antam pruchatam sautrantikaha iti. Like that, anyhow, it is mentioned. So, but they don't want process, but they want the result to happen. And another thing, everything in this world is kshanika. So, whichever is being seen, whichever gives the fruit, kshanika. So this word is kshanika. Kshanika means it will not be for the longer time. So that it collapses in the each moment. That is what they want to say. And why you have taken, while it came Vijnanavada, I liked it a lot. Nachatra kaschit chetanaha adhishtata upalabhyate. My dear listeners, we are today in the AI world, artificial intelligence world. Even if you want to draw money, or even if you want to put money or somewhere else, you need not require a person. Nachatra adhishtata kaschit upalabhyate. Simply, whether you are male or female, what is your date of birth? Simply you are going on filling it up and say your document is okay. It will be processed and money will be sent to you shortly. Like that the messages comes. I am not worried about who prepared the software system. Even company is also not worried about the software system. They want to get the work done. Man is replaced by machine. This is the truthful thing. Correct? No. We don't want people. People are replaced by machine. So, nachatra kaschit chetanaha adhishtata upalabhyate. So, if we look at this world or that one, we don't require a person. With artificial intelligence, anything can be done. So, Madhvacharya in Anuvyakhyana says a beautiful thing. Anadi kalato vruttaha samayahi pravahataha. All religions will be at all times gaining some kind of popularity, being condemned at some time, upholding some truth at some time or the other. So, these are the things which are being seen in this. But one thing, they say, even Atma is Kshanika. Even the soul who is having experience, he is also Kshanika. So, another Atma will be born. He will be passed on with some kind of experience or some kind of Hetu Gnana and Vyapti Gnana. So, he will come to regain the consciousness, or he will come to some kind of decision. Like that anyhow they tell. But Madhvacharya says, if one comes to an opinion that fire is there because of smoke, means you must have seen the smoke. You must have seen that both exist together. And then he can say, in this mountain fire is there because of smoke. Like that he can tell. But every time Atma is changing. While Atma is changing every time, how can he get a knowledge? Means they say, it will be passed on to next Atma. Who is born, it will be passed on to next Atma. So next Atma is what I say. I say in phone improved version, no? In phone improved version, like that anyhow they say, no? Like that improved version, he will be knowing like that. But problem is, this Atma is Madhvacharya. See, look at Anuvyakhyana. What Madhvacharya, they are all great people because they speak less. They speak less and they speak only with the pramana. They don't speak much. They speak only with the pramanas. Rather than speaking 10 things, where is the proof? That's what they want. Correct? No? So, what Madhvacharya says means, yes, its qualities or knowledge or wisdom has to be passed on to the next Atma. But always, property document transfer can be done between the seller and the buyer. Seller and buyer should exist at the same time. Correct? No? Otherwise, how property can be transferred? Correct? No? Property has to be transferred means seller and buyer should exist at the same time. Look at Madhvacharya. Look at the wisdom of the Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya tells that even if water has to be perfumed, before that some flower has to be there. Because water is not fragrant by its nature. Understand? Water has become some kind of, it is having perfume means flower and water should exist at the same time. Otherwise it can't be. So next Atma, how we can get the past experience? He can't get. Because at least it should exist for 2-3 minutes. So someone can pass on and so that it can have the improved version. But here improved version not possible. Because every moment Atma is collapsing. So how transfer of this can be done? So Yogacharya Mata is considered as Vijnanavada, and there they say only knowledge perceives, nothing else. So Vijnanam eva tattvam. So there is nothing, no outside commodity, only knowledge is there, like that they say. But even they start some kind of philosophy and it rolls for centuries, and afterwards there only some kind of questions do come. And in Dharma Kirti, a great person, he has written a Buddhist work named as Pramana Vartika. For that Pramana Vartika, Manoratha Nandini, like that, anyhow, another commentary is there. There, they believed, we wonder, Bruhat Jataka, like that, many stories have come from Buddhas where they believed in rebirth. Not only this entire life, they believed in next birth too. So, what they say means, anyhow, for society's sake, sometimes some kind of philosophy will come. They are not based on Vedas, but they tried their best to prove something. But later, those who believed in Vedas came with the Pramanas and wanted to prove the theory and say, they say Vedas are not Pramana, God not required at all, like that. But no, it is required, like that Madhvacharya has said. So, Punar Janma Siddhi, for that a chapter is retained by Dharmakirti. I wondered. So, Bruhat Jataka, like that a story, it refers to rebirth and other things. So, it is there, but at some extent, at the growth, these are the principles, like that they have Sarvam Dukkham Dukkham, Shunyam Shunyam, like that. On these principles, anyhow, they believed and they said that object is not having any kind of akara, it is Jnanakara, like that. Assume in this world, even if you say you are alive, I don't believe you are alive. Produce your ID card. That means they believe in Aadhaar card. They don't believe in you physically. Physical presence not valued. Documentary presence is more valid. In today's world, we are living in that. Even if I go and say my name, no, produce your Aadhaar card. If Aadhaar card is not there, means you are dead. Like that they say. Yes, that is digital. That is digital. Equal to the digital is Jnana. Correct? No. So that is why they believe like that, but they won't accept the validity of the Vedas, and they won't accept the process that through Paramanus world has happened. Paramanu itself is world. That's what they say. And they are not having any kind of akara. There, in that observation, they are wrong, like that. Madhvacharya has said, because we look at the object, oh, this is mic, oh, this is book. Like that, first comes the object, then comes the knowledge. They are not simultaneous, but too fast, so that others cannot recognize. Oh, this is book. Like that, suddenly we say, but we have seen first, and then we are declaring it is book. But there they say, Karya Karana Bhavaha Nasti. That's what, anyhow, the Buddhas wants to tell. Understand? So many concepts are there. My time should not overcross. That is why I am closing my talk. But one should read in his lifetime Dharma Kirti's Pramana Vartika. It will throw lot of things on Buddhism, and it will help us to study such things. With these words, anyhow, I will close my topic. Yes. Thank you all. Really, we are blessed to have Swamijis like Vidyadishita Swamiji. What a kind of, even most of the time, crossed 60 means no enthusiasm will be there. But our Swamiji always smiling, doing more work and giving more contributions to the society. And we can say with every pride, we have seen Pejavar Swamiji, we have seen Palimar Swamiji. Like that with pride we can tell. Thanks to all. Om Swasti.
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಮಾತು ಅದು ಈ ಅವರ ಲೇಖನಗಳು ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಪ್ರೌಢಿಮೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಅವರ ಚಿಂತನೆ ನಾನು ಆಗ ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಒಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡು ಇಷ್ಟರ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಬೌದ್ಧ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಅವರ ಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿಯೇ, ಅದು ಆಂಗ್ಲ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದು ನಿಜವಾಗಿ ಹುಬ್ಬೆ ಹೇರಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ. ಅದು ಅಂತಹ ಭಗವಂತನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹಕ್ಕೆ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಪಾತ್ರ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ, ಮುಂದಿನ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕರು ಆನ್ಲೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕದರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಅವರು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ IT, ಅವರು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಎತ್ತರದ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ತುಂಬ ಯುವಕರು, ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹುಡುಗ, ಆದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಐ ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಕೂಡ ವೇದಾಂತದ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಈಗಿನವರೆಗೂ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಈಗಿನ ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ವೇದಾಂತಗಳ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ದರ್ಶನಗಳ ಚಿಂತನೆಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿ ಈಗಿನ ಕಾಲದ ಯುವಕರ, ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಜನ್ರೇಷನ್ನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಯುಕ್ತಿಯುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವವನ್ನು ರೂಢಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕದರಿಯವರು. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಅವರದ್ದಿರ್ತದೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕದರಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಬಿಡಿ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತದ? ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಮೈಕ್ ಹತ್ರ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದೇ ಇಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಅಖಿಲಾಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತಧ್ವಾಂತ ದಿವಾಕರಃ ಜಯತ್ಯಂತಜ್ಞಾನ ಸುಭಿಷಕ್ತಿ ಪಯೋಗಿ ಅಕ್ರಮಂ
Recording in progress.
ಆನಂದತೀರ್ಥಮತುಲಂ ಭಜೇತ್ ಆಪಾದಮೌಳಿ ಪರ್ಯಂತಂ ಗುರುಣಾಂ ಅಕ್ಷತಿಂ ಸ್ಮರೇತ್ ತೇನ ವಿಘ್ನಃ ಪ್ರಣಶ್ಯಂತೆ ಸಿದ್ಧ್ಯಂತಿ ಮನೋರಥಾಃ. ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಶ್ರೀ ವಿದ್ಯಾಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. Good morning to all of you there. I will speak in English. I hope that will be okay for most of you at least. So my topic is Nagarjuna's Nisvabhavavada and Dvaita ontology. Given the paucity of time, I will try to reduce whatever I had prepared and stick to the topic. So we all know that all schools of Vedanta have dialectically engaged with Buddhism, primarily through their commentaries on the Vedanta Sutras, that is the Brahma Sutras. The second chapter, second further deals with the rival schools of thought, especially concerning the topic of Brahman being the primary cause of this world's creation. According to Srimad Acharya, the four schools of Buddhism, that is Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas, the Madhyamikas and Vijnanavadins, are refuted in these three Adhikaranas. The Madhyamika school is discussed in 4 sutras, starting with Nasato Drashtartva. The focus of these sutras is to critique the Madhyamika's conclusion around the world. Basically, the Madhyamika says that everything is there is no essence to this the entire world, and the conclusion is what is criticized in the Brahma Sutras and their commentaries. The method of arriving at that conclusion is not criticized particularly or separately in either the Brahma Sutras or their commentaries. So my focus is to cull out, to extract some topics, some quotes from Madhvacharya's works, other works also, which basically talk about how we can address some of the concerns, challenges that are posed by Nagarjuna. There has been another discussion which I am not going to get into. The discussion is whether the Madhyamikas, the Shunyavadins basically, did they positively assert a Shunya or did they just
deny and reject that there is an essence to something. So I mean the modern scholars of Buddhism, they basically assert that they Madhyamikas did not assert anything, and on the other hand Vedantins say that they asserted a shunya, and their refutation is around rejection of that shunya itself. But I am going to focus on placing Nagarjuna's arguments for denying Svabhava and causal relationships. And basically, my idea is to give some inkling of what Nagarjuna does to the Madhva and the Vedantic public. And on the other hand, also present the Madhva ontology to people who are interested, who have seen only arguments from Advaita or other schools on how Buddhism is handled. The Madhva school also has vital differences, as I'm going to say in a few minutes, which even from the other realistic schools, which is why it is important that we see these the refutation or the solution to Nagarjuna's problems from a Madhva perspective. With that, we get into the Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyamika Karika. That is the text I am going to take. He basically is a seminal text in the Madhyamika literature. They also call it Madhyamaka literature also. It consists of 23 parikshas. Basically, he analyzes different aspects of our experience, shows that everything has quote-unquote dependent origination. Pratitya Samutpadavada, that is this one. And Pratitya Samutpadavada has been told by Buddha himself. That is what we find in the other texts even preceding Nagarjuna, the Adidharmika texts and so on and so forth. But he is basically using that dependent origination. He even justifies dependent origination and also shows that it finally culminates in the denial of all essence, basically Nisvabhava. I follow the Prasannapada commentary from Chandrakirti, which is a pretty eloquent and much needed explanatory note on otherwise a very terse original. Looks like the Madhyamika Karika was meant for teachers. Basically, it is almost in some. It is shorter than a regular and more. It is difficult to understand even from a Karika point of view. Apparently, there is a commentary written by Nagarjuna himself, but that is quite not very well accepted. The Chandrakirti's commentary, on the other hand, is the basis of what we call as the Prasanga perspective of Buddhism. The Prasanga perspective of school of Buddhism, and he also justifies Buddha Palita's commentary against some internal heretics. So Chandrakirti's commentary basically takes care of explaining Nagarjuna's work while also justifying his theories against other realists on one hand and other Buddhists themselves on the other hand. So with that, let me get to the Mula Madhyamika Karika. Nagarjuna commences his argument with the famous work after one invocatory verse to Buddha, wherein he says that he's going to focus on Anirodham, Anutpadam, and so on, so 8 aspects. He basically says that he questions the very aspect of causation. Causation andre karyakarana bhava, basically. So he says, na swato napi parato nadvabhyam napi ahetutaha utpanna jatu vidyante bhava kachana kechana. So he says that any bhava padartha, which is phenomena or positive entity, can be produced not by itself, not by another, not by a combination of itself, and is not without a cause. So if at all any bhava padartha had an essence, it should have been in one of these cases, but there is no such thing. That is what he will eventually come to. So this is how he justifies. I am going to spend a few minutes in actually explaining the few verses, in the first prakarana or the first chapter of Nagarjuna's work. After that, I will speed up to basically summarize his view across the board. So he says a padartha cannot originate from itself. Swato utpatti na yukta. Why? Because it is not only impossible, there is also, you need to have, if there is an object, if X is there, if X is produced by itself, it means that it has to be before itself to produce itself. So that is quite illogical. And in fact, Prasannapada Chandrakirti also quotes Buddha Palita, who adds a reason, who says it is not just impossible, it is pointless, it is meaningless, it is vyartha for the same re-entity, for the same entity to be reborn. This is the reason why you cannot say that an object is born of itself or is produced from itself. Napi paratah. Okay, now this is an interesting thing. We will come to this a little later. He says that if an object, an effect is not produced from things that are different from itself. Why? Because Chandrakirti says there is nothing like parabhava itself. Okay, this basically assumes the reasoning that is going to be mentioned later, which essentially says that there is nothing like swabhava. Swabhava is itself not there. Therefore, parabhava is also not there. So when there is nothing like Swabhava, how can you say there is something like Swabhava? This is how Chandrakirti reasons, but some modern scholars have given better reasoning. We will come to that little later. Then he says that Dvabhyam, basically neither Swarataha, not Parataha, not even a mix of Swatova, Paratova, Swatopi, Paratopi, because then each of these elements they come up with their own problems. So you are basically mixing both the problems there. So therefore, it is not a position that is that can stand on its that can stand or that can explain causation. Napi ahetutah, and it is not even that there is things arise without any cause. So this point is that basically he says that if at all things are so you have these four possible reasons for four possible ways of causation, and none of them are tenable, or none of them hold to logic. So he then raises this question, saying that Buddha has accepted pratitya samutpadavada. So let me get a little bit into what this pratitya means. So our Vedantists, we have a little bit difficult. We will have some difficulty in understanding the word pratyaya. Pratyaya for us generally means jnana, right? That's what we all are used to, right? Ghata pratyaya and so on and so forth, right? But in Buddhist literature, at least in Madhyamikas, it seems to refer to what is known as condition. It is like a prerequisite or a precondition for something to be born. At least in this context of causation, that is the meaning, or that is the sense on which that word has been used. So there are four conditions on which any origination is dependent, right? The Acharya referred to this one. I will still continue for my own continuity. There are four types of pratyaya. One is hetu pratyaya. What is the hetu pratyaya? Nirvartaka hetu. Basically, it is something like the upadana or the nimitta karana of the Vedantis. It is approximately that. It is not exactly that, but it is something that produces the object almost directly. It is the main reason. Then there is alambana pratyaya. So this is something like your supporting conditions or sahakari karana, like danda in the production of a pot, right? Ghatasya danda yatha sahakari karana tada tatha atraiva alambana pratyaya. Then there is samanantara pratyaya. X origination is dependent on Y's nirodha or cessation, basically. This sequence is also some sort of condition, or on which can explain on which production of a particular X is dependent. Then there is adhipateya pratyaya, which is yasmin sati yad bhavati tasya tat adhipateyam iti. Basically the ground, or the place in which all these things happen, the system or the universe in which this happens, that is the adhipateya pratyaya. Now he says that any other conditions that we may think of will come under this particular pratyaya. Chandrakirti makes it a point to reject Ishvara as a pratyaya. He says that Ishvara is not a pratyaya because there is no such Ishvara. Therefore, whatever we say, right, Daivam, Daivatra Panchamam, that is directly denied over here. At least in Chandrakirti, Nagarjuna doesn't talk about that. With that, he goes to the next point. He says that, okay, so there are four pratyayas. Now the thing is, anything that needs to be produced, okay, it does not, that svabhava of that does not exist in any of the bhavas, in any of these pratyayas. For example, take this table that is there, right? The table has the four legs that are out there, but the tableness, which is its svabhava, does not exist in any of the legs. It does not exist in the light or whatever other supporting conditions in which this table was made, it does not, the tableness does not exist in the alambara, either in the ground on which it was made, so on and so forth. So that if the swabhava does not exist in any of the pratyayas, where did it come from? And you cannot say that it did not come from anywhere, because then it will mean that, anything can produce anything else. So therefore, you have to admit that there is nothing like a swabhava. This is the essential argument that Nagarjuna puts there. And he says this thing. Either you, Chandrakirti explains. I'll switch to Sanskrit for a couple of lines. He basically says that yadihi etvadishu parabhuteshu pratyayeshu samasteshu vyasteshu vyasta samasteshu. Either you take each of these pratyayas individually, or as a group, or as a harmonious group, even then you will not be able to anyatrava kvachit bhavanam karyanam utpadat purvam sattvam syat. There is no, that bhavas, sattva does not exist anywhere. Okay? And if at all it were to exist in any of them, then syat tebhya utpadaha. Then they would have come from there. Nachaivam. Yad utpadat purvam sambhava syat. Yadisad grhyeta cha utpada vaiyartyam cha. And but if you say, no, the swabhava exists in some form in all of them, then there is no point in this origination. There is no point in producing a mud in pot from mud, because if the pot already exists, why are you even trying to create it? Right? Tasmat nachati bhavanam pratyayadishu swabhavaha. Okay. So then Nagarjuna goes to say, look, it is not this condition. He accepts this. He basically anticipated this rejoinder, which says that it is not these pratyayas, but the vyapara. You know what we say, right? Chida vyaparaha, yatha parushoha. Chida vyaparaha, that's what cuts a tree, right? That vyapara is the thing that brings out this vijnana. So now he has moved from not just pot and other things. Now he is concerned about what produces knowledge in your mind, because everything is there in your mind right now, right? And he says that even that particular, he analyzes that, he dissects that particular kriya which is supposed to produce this, and he says that even that is incapable of explaining why the effect can be brought about. How does he do that? He says, he asks, does that kriya, does it produce a pre-existing product, or an absent, or a product that does not exist, non-existent product? So if that kriya, which is basically the coming together of these pratyayas, which produces this vijnana, if at all, is that thing, does it exist or not exist? If it does already exist, then your point of production, why karya kartrutvam is pointless. Right? Jatasya punarjanmana yujyate. If the second one, which is that if it was not existing already, then your kriya cannot do anything, because there is no karta. And he has already told that the karta is basically again without a svabhava, so the karta is not there. So without getting into all the other details, let me highlight some points, especially because they are relevant for comparison with Dvaita Vedanta. If you say, can I continue? Is there a question? We'll take the questions towards the end. Without getting into every verse, let me get to some more points on this. If it is said that I and others, chakshuradaya vijnanasya pratyayaha kalpyamanaha. Okay, if you say that I and other things, right, eyes and other things are necessary conditions for producing knowledge, are they conditions to produce an existing knowledge or to producing non-existing knowledge? Okay, sarvathana yujyate. Why? Naiva asato naiva satah pratyayo arthasya yujyate. Why? Asatah pratyaya kasya. If that knowledge were not existing, how can these things be related to that? How can these conditions be related to a non-existing object? Right? That is the knowledge. If that knowledge already existed, then what is the point of these conditions being there in it? So he uses this reductionist kind of logic across the board. I mean, there are 27 parikshas. He does this thing in almost all of them to show that from a final point of view, there is no svabhava. Mind you, please, again, they accept samvriti as a locally explainable or an empirical some sort of reality, so that you can do your daily transactions. So the question that were asked previously, right? The karma, the atma migrating from one body to another, all of that is explained through samvriti only. Only in your paramartha, basically you would show that everything is without a svabhava. There is nothing with svabhava. That said, let me go to the next one. is very important for us because he has now, what Nagarjuna has said that, there is no cause. All these conditions put together cannot, in general, cannot produce effect. Because he says that none of them contain the effects, svabhava, so to speak, number one. And he also has dissected further on whether that effect is pre-existing, non-existing, and if both of them will have some or the other problem. Now, having rejected that, now he goes into each of these different types of pratyayas, right? Which is the hetu pratyaya, alambana pratyaya, samanantara pratyaya, and adipataya pratyaya, and shows that the same problem exists all over them. Let me talk only the example of hetu pratyaya. He says, na sat, na asat, na sadasat dharmo nirvartate yada, katham nirvartako hetuhu evam satihi yudyate. Please note, it is nirvartate, it is not nivartate. Nirvartaka is utpadaka. Chandrakirti says that much. If there was a producible entity, then the cause would produce it. There is nothing like a producible entity. That's what he's focusing now on. Why? Because again he asks the same question. Is it Sat? It cannot be Sat. Because if it is Sat, then there is nothing, there is no need to produce. If it already exists, there is no need to produce that. If it is Asat, then for the very reason that it is Asat, it cannot be produced. Okay? If it does not exist, how can he produce a non-existent effect? Okay? And now this is the important thing. This is important for us Dvaitins. It is not even Sadasat. Because such an entity does not exist. He says that there is nothing, there is no dharma, which is both Sadasat. Okay? And moreover, the flaws of both positions, which is Sat and Asat, both will be entailed in this position, which says that there is Sadasat dharma, okay, which is being produced. And then Nagarjuna says, Yataevam karyasya utpattir nasti, edu pratyayo api ato nasti. And then basically he says that, anything that, so let me summarize so far. Anything that is produced has to depend on many other conditions for it to be produced. If this had a svabhava, it should be seen in one of those conditions which had a svabhava, but none of those conditions or prerequisites or dependents have that svabhava. Therefore, this one does not have a svabhava. And I mean, within Samvriti, all of these things are explained, but from the Paramartha point of view, because from pure logic point of view, it does not exist. That said, he also considers, why are you even thinking that Swarup, Svabhava cannot be created by those conditions coming in together? Right? That is what we will say. That is what Vaidins say. So he has an objection to that also. He says that in the 15th chapter. He says, Hetu pratyaya sambhutaha svabhavaha kritako bhave. Svabhavo kritaka nama bhavishyati punakkatam. Akritimaha svabhavo hi nirapekshaha paratrata. Very nice point. He says that if at all there is svabhava, it has to be independent of other factors. It cannot be dependent on other influencers or other conditions coming in together. See, if Agni has a condition, Agni's svabhava is to burn. And that burning will happen independent of whether there is a table nearby or whether there is a chair nearby or whether it is anywhere else. So svabhava is independent of these conditions. So therefore, you cannot think of a situation where svabhava is dependent, brought out, created, and so on and so forth. Okay? And these are the two main points that I want to cover. I would recommend Nagarjuna's work for a lot of other puzzles that he poses for us. For example, he says that there is something gati, right? Movement. Movement is also not logically plausible. He says that for example, what does motion entail, right? You have 2 points. You are going from point A to point B. That is motion. He says that is there motion, gati is there at the gata place. Gata deshaye, gati astiva. It is not there because it is already gone. Okay? And if it were there at that point, then it is not the starting point. Right? And agati, and where it has just reached, right? There, the ending point. Does motion exist there? There also motion doesn't exist because the motion has just ended. So in both these cases, there is no motion on both these points. So how can movement be there in the middle? Okay? It will seem very similar to in Greek philosophy, right? There is some Zeno paradox or something like that is there. He basically shows that you cannot have motion because you have to cover half the distance first, then the half of that half, then the half of that half. So eventually he says that what do you call that? Motion is, you cannot explain motion logically. I mean, of course, later in high school we learn, about all these converging series and divergent series and so on and so forth. But at least Zenos feels that it is not an explicable, logically explicable phenomenon. Motion is inexplicable. The same thing, similar thing is employed by Nagarjuna here, at least in my opinion. There may be some differences further. He goes on to show that there is no motion at the beginning or the end, so there is nothing like motion in the middle. And he says that cheshta, right? He considers the next possibility that cheshta, which is the action within a particular object, is what is movement, and he disproves that also. So let me summarize his stance. Before that, Atma, I think Acharya has covered that thing a while back. He basically says that Atma, the way we look at Atma, they don't look at it. They look at Atma as a product, rather than as a derived entity from the skandhas or from the different senses of hearing, from the panchaprana, so on and so forth. So he considers all these things and eventually says Atma does not have a substantive at the end of it. Eventually that also is without any svabhava. So with that, let me summarize his stance. How much more time do you have?
5 minutes.
So he basically says that Atma means, so he says Swabhava has to be eternal. There is no changes in Swabhava. Dependent origin, dependent, related or conditional origination, which is Pratitya Samutpadavada, implies that produced entities do not have any Swabhava. And also, I mean, if I summarize his stance across these different cases, it appears that Karya Karana do not have any, can neither be identical nor be different. If it is identical, there is Vaiyar. Both Karana and Karya are Abheda. If there is Abheda is between them, then it is Vyartha to produce that thing. Then if they are different, then Sarvotpatti Prasanga. Anything can come from anywhere else, right? Can be produced from anything else. If both identical and different are there, if both Karya and Karana are Sadasat according to them, then the defects of both positions will be accumulated or inherited. So this is the point which is relevant to us. One small point I would also like to make. Some modern scholars have given a different explanation for the first verse that I mentioned. Na svato napi parataha, na dvabhyam napi hetutaha. So in there, see, in general, our Laukika experience says that the cause is different from the effect, right? I mean, that's what most people will go around with, unless they are probed further. So in that, we all know that the effect is dependent upon the cause. That much is acceptable, right? Ghata has a dependence on Mrit. That much is very much clear. But the cause does not depend on the effect, right? But some of these people, na Parato, he says that Parata is also justifiable because even Parata, the cause also has a dependency on the effect. How they do that? Because Karye Karanatsam yad dharma, that is produced by only after the effect is born. Okay? Only after the effect is produced. Only when the sun is born, I become a Pita. Only when the Jagat and the Jivas get their Sharira, that's when Brahman becomes Jagat Karana. So according to them, unless the Karanatva is not just manifested, they say it is produced by the effect. Okay? So that is the point that some of these people make. With that, let me come to our situation, our Dvaita ontology, which addresses some of these issues. In our thing, right, we do not accept that Svabhava, even if it is dependent, it does not mean Svabhava does not exist. In the very Bhagavata verse that is used across Acharya's work, Sriman Madhacharya's work, Dravyam Karma Chakalascha Svabhavo Jivayevacha Yadanugrahatas Santi Nasanti Yadupekshaya. It is very clear that Svabhava exists and with Ishvara's Anugraha. Okay? And there is also another aspect that I would like to mention here. We also don't accept that, they assume that Svabhava is eternal or something like that. The underlying thought there also is that there is something like a class that exists, and that class is eternal and be changeless. So when he says Agni has an unchanging behavior, right? That unchanging natural behavior, right? He basically does not accept that that can be Anitya also. But for us, we accept that Svabhava can be Anitya for Anitya Padarthas, So that is one very important difference that we have. And not only that, there is nothing like one eternal class, the way that even the class is not eternal, even not just for that particular individual, even that particular vyakti, that instance, that is, that has the swabhava and being non-eternal, even the class, there is nothing like hotness, or there is nothing like mudness or fireness that is there somewhere, right? That some class is there which is eternal, or that we do not accept jati or samanya as something which is different, which exists differently. We explain that using sadrishya. That is what is very clear in Vaishesharika Adhikara also. Na sarva dharma eko asti samudayastu bhinnagaha. Basically, that is our situation there. Then most important point is that wherever the Nagarjuna mentioned about Karya Karana being Sat or Asat or whatever it is, he basically had only these two conditions. And even Sadasat, he basically thought of Sadasat as an accumulation of those two things. Whereas we take recourse in Vishesha, and the classic verse from Acharya and Tattva Viveka, right? Gunakriya Jati Purva Dharma Sarvepi Vastunaha Rupameva Vividam Tacha Yavat Vastata Kanditam Kandite Bheda Aikyam Cha. For us, and this particular object and its dharma being sadasat, having sabhisesha bheda, right, is also dependent on whether that particular dharma is yavat dravya bhavi or ayavat dravya bhavi. If it is yavat dravya bhavi, then that particular vastu, that particular guni shares, that particular karana shares a sabhisesha bheda with that particular dharma. If it is an ayavat dravya bhavi, like your mango's color or whatever it is, right? Then it is both bheda and abheda. So we basically use the visheshas to explain the relations between an object and its attributes. Not just objects and between attributes. Karya karanayoschaiva tathaiva gunatatvatoho. Okay, even for a cause and an effect. So basically the effect is in a bija rupa, is in a shakti rupa within the cause. So the ankura exists in the bija as a shakti, and all these other conditions are bringing that shakti out. So they have, by the way, Buddhism also has some arguments against that, but I think because then the shakti, what is the relation between shakti and the shaktimat, all those questions come. But we say that shakti and the shaktimat again has the same sabhisesha bheda, right? And the same problems, whatever they saw with kriya karya, kriya vartha, right? They all go through the same things. They saw only sat, asat and sadasat as one, this one. When they saw sadasat as a mixture of sat and sat, whereas what we are saying is that it is in a shakti form, the kriya is there, kriya is nitya in nitya vastu like Ishvara, kriya is anitya in ghatapatadi, so on and so forth. So we accept that svabhava can be anitya. There are some schools of Buddhism who accept that svabhava need not be nitya, by the way. Abhidharmikas, which predates Nagarjuna, they admit that svabhava need not be nitya. With that, I think I have covered most of the things that I wanted to tell. There is also some more aspects about the fundamental method in which these conclusions are arrived at. See, for us, Sakshi is the most important. Right? It is an infallible instrument of knowledge, which cannot go wrong, and anything that is validated by Sakshi is invariably and inviolably correct. It cannot be, it can never go wrong. Therefore, all our logic is determined by Sakshi, and Sakshi basically also not only talks about its own self, Sakshi also reveals that there is an external world, and there is no badha to that external world, so it is not an illusion. Therefore, Vyavahirti Sarva Satyaya for us. Okay, this is complete opposite of Nagarjuna's thing, where he puts Anumana in ahead of even Pratyaksha. Okay, so let's for the time being grant whatever his arguments are correct, right? Even then, you should just say, okay, I do not know how to explain, rather than they say that the world does not have a swabhav. That is what a person with intellectual integrity will do. And that's what we have done. I mean, Acharya says this thing in some other place also. Therefore, we are, we basically create our theory based on the data, and rather than have a theory and then dismiss the data as false or mrisha or so on and so forth. That is where I would like to end my presentation. There are more around how Atma is proved. There are other you will find there are in my study I found a lot of similarities between Chandrakirti's and Nagarjuna's work and Sriharsha's Khandana Kandakatya. I mean, some of his questions on what is the utility of Lakshana and things like that, you will be able to find seeds of that in Chandrakirti's work. You will also find their examples also being repeated in the Advaita literature, like the Dvichendra Darshana, right? That is also repeated in Chandrakirti. Also, Chandrakirti predates in Advaita. They basically say that the Karya and Karana are both one and the same at the end of it. The Karya may be reverse of Upadana. There is no real Karya per se. The Karya as seen as this Jagat and Brahma Vidna Jagat is not. So you will find a lot of what do you call similarities there. There is also the notion that there is the Kartru Karma. Basically, the Kartru and Karma cannot be same, right? That part is admitted both by Advaitins and by Chandrakirti. Acharya says that it is mostly the case, but in case of consciousness, right? That is not the case. In fact, Nagarjuna says, if seeing, if Chakshu's main job is to see, how come it does not see itself? So he goes on with this kind of stuff. Oh, ಒಂದೇ ನಿಮಿಷ ಆಯ್ತು. ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಉಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ.
One question is there.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful lecture. It was great to hear you. If Swabhava is Anitya, how do you identify Vishnu? Is the question clear, sir? If the Swabhava is Anitya, how do you identify Vishnu or Vishnu as God? On what basis?
You are asking from a Dvaita or perspective or a Buddhist perspective?
Well, I am asking in a general perspective. Whatever perspective you can may answer, sir.
Okay. So our ontology, right, has Nitya and Anitya Padartha.
Yes.
So Vishnu is Swatantra and so on and so forth. That is all established. That Swabhava is Nitya.
Okay.
Jiva Swabhava is also Nitya. Okay. Akasha is also Nitya. Vyakata Akasha is also Nitya. So there are many Nitya Padarthas and they have their Swabhavas as Nitya. And then there are Anitya Padarthas like, Ghatapadadi, which is like pot, cloth, this laptop, so on and so forth. Their Swabhava is Anitya. So we do not, we take more realistic and more truer to whatever data is presented to us without any supplications later.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes.
These are determined. So Nitya Padarthas are known primarily through scripture, Vishnu and so on and so on, Vishnu, Devatas, they are known through scriptures. The Anitya Padarthas are available through other means to us. Some Anitya Padarthas are also told to us by the scriptures, like Samsrishta Padarthas. And so, yeah, by mix of these three instruments of knowledge, perception, inference, and the Veda, and related Agama, we basically determine the Swabhava, we basically say whether a Swabhava is there or not. I hope I answered your question.
Okay. He is satisfied. Is there? Another question is there.
Mine is just a sort of clarification or kind of information, I am seeking. Mula Madhyamaka Karika has been written by Nagarjuna, and you have explained so many things of Nagarjuna's own attack on the Prapancha Shunyata, all these are okay. That is acceptable, no problem. But my question is this. See, Nagarjuna wrote this particular work here. How does he expect us to understand what he has written?
How does Nagarjuna expect us to understand?
Whatever he has written. That's a very small question.
Yeah, I think
How do I understand it?
he has written some good 8 works over there, and there have been a story list of commentators after that who have kind of explained his work. And he gives enough hints here and there across his 27 parikshas. He has also written works like, Shunya Saptatihi, and, the one that different, what do you call, examples. I don't know whether your question is, how do you expect to
No. Let me make it slightly more clear. I think I was not very clear. You see, he has attacked Karya and all that kind of thing by this kind of criticism of all these things. Therefore, there are no such things, etc. So, when he has written all these, he has written, right? Now I have to understand it. Now, how do I understand it without any such karya karanatva, for example? Many other things are there. How do I understand it? You see, what he has written, he believes that what he has written is true. There is no karya karanatva. So, if there is no such thing which is true according to him, how does he expect me to understand? Sorry, your voice is not audible.
not audible?
Yeah,
I will do
okay.
one thing. Can we take this question?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I think we can take this question offline if you don't mind. I'm not able to hear the question.
ಓಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕದರಿ ಅವರು.
Okay. The room seems little. People can come and ask here if you don't mind.
ಅವ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಂತೆ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೇನೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಸರಿ, ಓಕೆ, ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕದರಿ ಅವರು. ಇವತ್ತು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅವರು ಮನೆ ಗೃಹ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಇದೆ, ಹೊಸ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾಳೆ ಗೃಹ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೂ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ, ವೇದಾಂತದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಬಂದು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಬಂದು ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ಕಾದು, ಈ ಟೈಮಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. 1 ಅವರ್, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ 1 ಅವರ್ ಆಚೆ ಈಚೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೂ ಕಾದು ಇಷ್ಟರ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇದು ಪ್ರಬಂಧ ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೃದಯದ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಈ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಇನ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗೃಹ ಪ್ರವೇಶನಿಗೆ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸರಿ, ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಂಡಿತರಿಗೂ ಸಾಷ್ಟಾಂಗ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು.
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಾಷ್ಟಾಂಗ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು, ಧನ್ಯವಾದ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಈ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನಿಂದ ಈ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗಿನ ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಸೆಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯವಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರು ತೀರ್ಥ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರು ಮುಂದಿನ ಮಠದ ಪ್ರಾಂಗಣಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಊಟದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ರೆಡಿ ಇದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೀರ್ಥ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದರು ಕೂಡ, ಅದಮಾರು ಶ್ರೀಪಾದರು ಬಂದು ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನೈವೇದ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಭಿಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಿನ್ನಹ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ತೀರ್ಥ ಪ್ರಸಾದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ 2:30 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಪುನಃ ಸೇರೋಣ ಅಂತ, 2:15 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಪುನಃ ಸೇರೋಣ ಅಂತ. ಅಷ್ಟವರೆಗೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು.